If you have been sifting through loads of online English teaching companies and you're feeling really overwhelmed right now, don't worry. I was in your shoes at one point too. Today, I'm going to clear any confusion and I'm going to be covering the top 5 best online English teaching companies for beginners with the highest pay. If you're looking for home-based jobs or a job that you can take with you anywhere, whether that's full-time or part-time, these online teaching gigs are for you. Now, all the companies I'm talking about today are where you'll be teaching Chinese students, but a question I get asked a lot and I want to answer is that no, you do not need to speak any Chinese to be able to work for these companies. They want students to really immerse themselves in English, so all you need to know is English. I'm going to do company overviews of the top 5 companies, and I'm going to share about the classes, curriculum, bookings, pay, requirements, and then also end with some cons because I think it's always important to know some of the cons as well. And be sure to stay to the end because I'm going to share a really helpful, I don't know if it's a warning or a piece of advice for new online English teachers that's really important for you to know as an independent contractor teacher. And if you are new to online teaching, be sure to join my ultimate guide to online teacher freelance freedom course. What's up? I am so glad that you're here today. I'm Danny and I'm an online teacher, entrepreneur, and business coach. I help people build lives of freedom through teaching online and also building scalable teacher brands on YouTube. All right, the online teaching job for beginners with the highest pay coming in at number 1 is GOGOKID. I have had a contract with GOGOKID for about 2.5 years now, and I have loved working with them. It is by far my favorite ESL company. Also, ESL stands for English as a Second Language, so if I say that throughout this video, that's what it means. Interestingly enough, GOGOKID is owned by ByteDance, which is the same company that owns TikTok, and it was started in 2018. Classes with GOGOKID are short and sweet. They're only 25 minutes long, and they're one-on-one, only one student at a time, so it's really nice for new teachers. A great thing about GOGOKID is that the curriculum is all done for you, and the curriculum is really interactive and fun. So all you have to do is review the class beforehand and then you teach slides. You don't have to worry about creating any curriculum yourself. Whew. GOGOKID pay is generally higher than a lot of online English companies that I've found. Their pay is anywhere between $14 to $25 an hour, depending on bonuses. I personally make $23 an hour with GOGOKID, and if you want a further breakdown of GOGOKID pay, you can check out this video. Now, bookings with GOGOKID, there are no minimum or maximum hours, which is really awesome. Generally, the peak times to teach are Beijing evenings, so if you're in the States, that's usually early mornings. The company doesn't book for you, parents book for you, so you do need a strong profile. So I highly recommend getting the help of a referral that will help you set up your profile. I do help all my referrals with some profile tips, so if you would like to work with me throughout the application process, that is something that I provide. Right now, GOGOKID is actually having a $300 new teacher incentive, so they really need more teachers. Bookings have been pretty hot, so it's a great company to get in on. And if you want more info on the $300 bonus, you can read more about that here. I've been helping applicants work for GOGOKID for about 2 years now, and I've helped a lot of newbie teachers who've never taught ESL 9 before or never even taught before work for GOGOKID and really excel. And so along with that reason and then the pay and hot bookings is why I have picked it as the number 1 company for new teachers. Now, what are the cons with GOGOKID? Obviously, there's always cons to every company that you work for. I think the biggest con with GOGOKID is that they are really strict about cancellations. So if you have to cancel within, 24 hours of a class, you are penalized, and that kind of stinks. So you need to make sure you have to document the reasons why you have to cancel classes. So that's the main con. Also, sometimes it can feel a little bit difficult for teachers to get in contact with home office. So those are the cons. I still think it's definitely a company worth working for. Now, what are the requirements to teach for GOGOKID? Well, you need to be eligible to work in the USA or Canada without a visa, but that does not mean that you need to be living in the US or Canada. I actually got the job with GOGOKID when I was living in Vietnam. You also need at least a bachelor's degree, and that can be in anything. My bachelor's degree is in history, so it doesn't have to be in education. You do need some experience working with kids, but that can be something even informal like babysitting. And lastly, with every single company I'm going to talk about today, you are going to need an ESL certification. China recently passed a law that all English teachers need an ESL certification. So that is a TESOL, TEFL, or CELTA. I have a TESOL, and if you would like a link to a $19 TESOL certification, it's 120 hours, and honestly, I finished it in like a half a day, and I used it for GOGOKID, Magic Years, and VIPKID. I highly recommend it. You can find that linked above. The next English teaching job for beginners with high pay is VIPKID. I think VIPKID is one of the best known online English teaching companies because in 2020, Glassdoor rated it as one of the number 1 companies to work for. So it's gotten a lot of press, and they've got about 100,000 teachers. It's a big company. VIPKID is very similar to GOGOKID. I also have a contract with VIPKID. I've been working with them for like 4 years now almost. I don't really open hours with them at all anymore, but again, I'll talk about that at the end with that kind of warning for new teachers and job stability. So I'll cover that in a second. I started working with VIPKID when I was traveling all over Southeast Asia, building a company. I needed income where I could work from anywhere, and I found VIPKID. But let's talk about VIPKID classes. Like GOGOKID, classes are 25 minutes long and one-on-one. The curriculum as well is already all done for you. It's a little less interactive than GOGOKID's, which I guess kind of means I think that VIPKID curriculum is like a little more boring than GOGOKID's, I guess, but it's still already all done for you, so it makes it one of the easiest jobs in the world because all you have to do is look at the slides before and then you teach it. The pay with VIPKID is decent. It's a little less than GOGOKID. You can make anywhere from $14 to $22 an hour with VIPKID. I don't really open hours with VIPKID anymore. Like I said, most of my hours go to GOGOKID, but when I do, I make about $19 an hour. So for me, I make a decent amount more with GOGOKID. Bookings for VIPKID are, again, like GOGOKID's, where parents book you, the company doesn't book for you. So again, there's no minimum or maximum hours. I have talked to some of my online teacher friends on Instagram. If you become an online teacher, I highly recommend getting an online teacher Instagram and adding me. You can add a bunch of other teachers. It's like our way of having coworkers almost, I guess. But anyway, I've been talking to some VIPKID teachers and they've been saying that bookings have been a little bit lower with VIPKID. So that's just kind of a warning there. Know that when you do get the job, VIPKID will push your profile as a new teacher, which is great to help you get in the eyes of more parents, but it will probably take you about a month or two to really build up a following of regular students. Something cool though about VIPKID is you are able to pick the age range of students you want to work with, which you can't do with most other companies. So if you just want to work with younger students, you can, or if you just want to work with older students, you can do that too. Some cons with VIPKID are like GOGOKID. They have a very strict cancellation policy, which I think kind of stinks. And you can sort of feel like a number because there are like over 100,000 teachers. So it doesn't feel like you can speak again to home office that easily. Requirements with VIPKID are the same as GOGOKID. You need some experience working with kids. You need a bachelor's degree that could be in anything. You need to be eligible to work in the US or Canada without a visa. And then you need that ESL certification, TEFL, or CELTA. The next top online English teaching company with high pay is Magic Years. Now, Magic Years is an awesome, very high energy company, and you can make more money. You can make up to $26 an hour, but the caveat to that is you may be teaching up to 4 students at a time. I just recently actually applied to Magic Years and got the job, so if you want to see my actual footage of the interview, you can check out this video. But anyway, it's a very high energy company, like I said. Let's talk a little bit about it. The classes are short and sweet, 25 minutes long, but you have up to 4 students at a time. The curriculum is all made for you and it's really interactive. The pay is also quite good. You can make anywhere from $15 to $26 an hour, depending on bonuses. In terms of bookings with Magic Years, unlike VIPKID and GOGOKID, Magic Years books for you. So if you don't want to worry about, waiting to build up regulars, it's kind of nice about Magic Years that they do the bookings for you. And also they have a much more relaxed cancellation policy with classes. You're allowed up to 4 cancellations a month, no questions asked. Magic Years recommends a minimum of 5 hours of classes a week, but there are no minimum hours required. Some cons of Magic Years are that you are teaching up to 4 students at a time. So in my mind, I think that's a little overwhelming for a beginning teacher. I know I was really overwhelmed by it at first. I started teaching for another company called OutSchool. It's not an English teaching company. It's more like any type of curriculum. And I then started teaching up to 9 students with that company. And then I was like, okay, I can actually teach multiple students at a time. I can try out Magic Years. But before, it scared me. So if you're a scaredy cat like me, then start with maybe a one-on-one company. But if you're like, no, I got this, maybe you're a brick and mortar teacher, then Magic Years may be a go. I think that's the main con with Magic Years. And also they can be a little bit more, I don't want to say micromanagey, but they definitely look at your classes a bit more than companies like VIPKID and GOGOKID and the other ones I'll talk about. So they'll give you a lot of helpful feedback. If that's something you're interested in getting, then that's great. For me, where I like to just kind of like do my own thing and not have to worry, I prefer that, but it's up to you. So those are my cons with Magic Years. What are the requirements for Magic Years? Well, number 1 is that you are very passionate. Like I said, they want teachers that have really high energy. So if you don't have high energy, it might not be the company for you. They really stress that. You need to speak at an idiomatic level, which is like a native English speaker level, and you must be from the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa. You must hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and you can also be getting your bachelor's degree and still get the job with Magic Years, which is really cool. I've actually met a teacher still in the process of getting her bachelor's degree, but she's able to work for Magic Years. And lastly, like all these companies, you need an ESL certification. The next top online English teaching company for beginners with high pay is Palfish. Now, Palfish is super cool because it's actually an app on your phone. So you teach it like on your iPhone or on an Android. And there's two ways you can teach for Palfish. There's Palfish Free Talk, where you like just have conversations about anything. Usually it's more with adults. And then there's their Palfish Official Kids course, and that's where you can make more of the money, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So with the Palfish Official Kids course, classes are one-on-one and 25 minutes long, and the curriculum is all done for you. Pay is anywhere from $16 to $22 an hour, and for bookings, you are in control of when you open your hours. Again, those peak times are going to be evenings, Beijing time. And with Palfish though, there are a minimum required amount of hours, and that's 3.5 hours a week. I'm actually not currently a Palfish teacher, and so I was talking with some Palfish teachers, and they said that the 3.5 hours a week is kind of flexible, like it's not really strictly enforced. So if you are a Palfish teacher, let me know if that's true in the comments below. Is it strictly enforced or not? Because I don't know. The cons to working with Palfish are that the pay is a little bit lower than some other companies, and they do have those minimum required hours. For me, I like to have no minimum or maximum hours because I like to just kind of do my own thing. That's why I love teaching English online. But I do think it's so cool that all you need is a phone to teach. That's pretty cool. It's an app. That's so crazy. Anyway, the requirements to teach with Palfish are, you do not need a degree, so that's awesome. You need a smartphone. You need to have some experience teaching kids. You need to be a native English speaker, so that means you can be from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, and have a neutral accent. And lastly, again, you need that ESL certification. Now, the last ESL company for beginners with high pay is Qkids. I do not personally work for Qkids, but I have other teacher friends who love working for Qkids, and so I wanted to add it to the list. Classes are 30 minutes long with Qkids and up to 4 students per class. The curriculum is all done for you, and the pay is anywhere from $16 to $20 an hour. Bookings are like Magic Years, where the company actually books for you, which is really nice, so you don't have to worry about building up a pool of students. Qkids does though have a minimum commitment of 6 hours per week to work with them. I'm not sure how strict they are, so if you're a Qkids teacher, let me know. Some of the cons to Qkids, I think, are, again, like Magic Years, you're teaching up to 4 students at a time. So if that overwhelms you as a new teacher, it may be better to look at one-on-one companies. And also the pay is a little bit less than the other companies that I have mentioned. You make up to $20 an hour. So if you're trying to decide between like Qkids and Magic Years, I would go for Magic Years maybe because the pay is higher. What are the requirements to teach for Qkids? Well, you need to legally be eligible to work in the US or Canada. You need a bachelor's degree, and you need that ESL certification. Okay, so now let's get into that warning that I said I would share that all new teachers really need to know as independent contractors, and that is that policies are always changing. And so what does that mean? That means that, for example, I used to make more like $24 an hour with GOGOKID, and now I make more like $23 an hour with GOGOKID. Why? Because GOGOKID decided to change their pay structure all of a sudden, and I couldn't do anything about it. As an independent contractor, companies can decide to change policies like this, and we can't really do anything. So with that in mind, knowing that things always change, you want to have backup companies. I would say 98% of my teacher friends work for more than one online ESL company. I have contracts with about almost 4 companies. I'm adding on Magic Years this week. So with 4 companies, 3.5. That doesn't mean I teach for all those companies all the time, but it does mean that I have backup. So if something happens with this company, I can immediately open hours for the next company. It really increases your job stability. So what I recommend if you're a new teacher is to pick one company and apply, get the job, and really get it down pat. Work for that company for a month to 3 months. Once you're feeling comfortable with it, then add on another company. And that doesn't mean you even have to open a lot of hours with that new company, but then at least you have that backup. If something changes with this company, right away you can turn around and you have another company that you can then open hours with and be making money with. All right, so I hope that that's really helpful for you. Let me know, what company are you applying to? Now, if you would like help applying to GOGOKID, VIPKID, or Magic Years, I would love to help you through. And if you're interested in applying to Palfish or Qkids, hit me up. I can also send you the names of some teachers who would love to help you through those applications. And I wish you all of the best on your online English teacher journey. Being an online English teacher brings so much freedom and flexibility. It is the best. I'm really excited for you. Also, be sure to join my ultimate guide to online teacher freelance freedom. freedom if you haven't yet, and I will see you next video.